What is going on, everyone? This is DerekJ Speaks, and it is that time once again for WrestleMania. This time, WrestleMania 40 coming to us from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. WrestleMania back in Philly in what WWE has been hyping up as the biggest WrestleMania of all time, because this company loves themselves some hyperbole. But with the way they've been building this WrestleMania up, it does feel like a big deal. And it's crazy because the WrestleMania card that we're getting does not fully resemble what the initial card was as of a few months ago. Now, of course, nothing was officially announced, but there were plenty of rumors and speculation and reports going all around, so we can kind of figure out what the original ideas were for this WrestleMania. But seeing how everything has gone down up to this point, which is just has been crazy to see unfold on TV over the last month or so. But looking at everything, I have overall enjoyed the build to WrestleMania this year. Obviously, The Rock has a big thing to do with that. He has been a huge presence, also to the detriment of some of the other people on the roster and even in the matches that he's involved with. But overall, his presence and his heel run has added a huge amount of excitement and interest in WrestleMania this year. But there's a lot of big things going on heading into WrestleMania this year that we are here to talk about. We are here to discuss WrestleMania 40 predictions for both nights 1 and night 2. So we're here to talk about both nights and the full WrestleMania card. We already have the announcement and the official lineups for night 1 and night 2. So I will be going through the card for night 1 on Saturday, giving my predictions on what I think is going to happen. And then, of course, I will run down the card for night 2. I don't know exactly the match order. I think Dave Meltzer reported something about match order, but Meltzer's been all up and down recently, so I don't know how accurate that is. I will just run through the card as is for both nights and give my predictions. So start off with night 1, and we kick things off talking about Rey Mysterio teaming up with the newest member of the LWO, Dragon Lee, to take on his son, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, on loan from the Judgment Day, apparently, teaming up with the leader of Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar. Of course, the big feud has been between Rey and Santos, but then Dominic kind of just got back involved, feuding with his father again, right out of nowhere, and now we have this tag team match. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a lot of high-paced, very fun action. And I think in this match, we are going to see Dominic get the win for himself and Santos Escobar by being the one to pin Rey Mysterio. I'm thinking that Dom and Santos are going to get the win in this match. Moving on, we have a 6-woman tag team match as the team of Damage Control, Dakota Kai, and the women's tag team champions Kairi Sane and Asuka, the Kabuki Warriors, take on this dream team almost of Naomi, Bianca Belair, and making her official WrestleMania debut, Jade Cargill. I don't see how this can be anything other than a win for Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. And especially for Jade, I'm pretty sure she's going to be the one to get the win for her team in this match. So I'm thinking it's going to be Kairi who gets hit with the Jaded and gets pinned. So I'm going with the 3 strong black women to win this match. We have a 6-pack ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles on this show. Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending their titles against DIY, R-Truth and The Miz, The New Day, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and the New Catch Republic of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. This will be the obligatory clusterfuck match on the show. This is essentially Money in the Bank. I mean, you got 12 guys, you got ladders. More or less, this is a Money in the Bank ladder match. So, I'm thinking this should be... I'm sure it'll be entertaining and have its moments, but for the most part, it'll be car crash TV. Whether it's entertaining or not remains to be seen. I think with a lot of the talent in this match, it should be fun. Now, they added a little wrinkle to the stipulations here for this match on this past Monday Night Raw, where Michael Cole on commentary announced that the match ends once both sets of tag team titles have been pulled down. So that is the Raw tag team titles and the SmackDown tag team titles. Now, up to this point, for the last 2 years or so, these titles have been together. They've been unified, although I guess not necessarily. I guess there has never been an official unification of these titles. There's been rumors of there being new belts made, but we've never seen them. So whoever the champs are, they've just been carrying around 2 sets of belts. So now this match here will end once all sets of belts have been pulled down, basically teasing the idea that we're going to split the titles once again. I personally don't think that's necessary. I think having one set of tag team titles that floats between both brands is the right move. They do it with the women's tag team titles. I think it makes sense to continue doing that with the men's tag team titles. They have made great strides with building up the tag team divisions in WWE, particularly on the main roster. Raw has a lot of stacked tag teams. SmackDown has a good amount as well. I don't think each show individually has a strong enough division to warrant having 2 separate titles, though. So that's my issue. But I don't think they're throwing this out there as a tease for no reason. So I do think the titles are going to be split, and I think the SmackDown tag team titles will be brought down first, and I think they're going to be brought down by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And I think A-Town Down Under are going to become the new SmackDown tag team champions. Meanwhile, the Raw tag team titles will be pulled down by R-Truth, and he will win them for himself and The Miz, and he'll get a measure of revenge over the Judgment Day. So Judgment Day will be losing both belts, and they'll be split apart, with R-Truth and Miz winning the Raw tag team titles, and A-Town Down Under winning the SmackDown ones. So that's my prediction as far as that's concerned. We have a battle of the Usos here. Last year, these 2 guys teamed up in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. This year, Night 1, they're going one-on-one and joining a long lineage of brother versus brother matches at WrestleMania, that being Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso, super over. Dude gets monster reactions every time he comes out. I don't doubt the visual of him doing the hand bops up and down to his theme song during his entrance in front of that large stadium is going to make for a badass visual. Jimmy, as entertaining and amusing as he can be in certain segments backstage on SmackDown, he hasn't really done a whole lot since turning on his brother at SummerSlam last year. A move that I still believe was completely unnecessary for this story, but it has been building up to lead us to this moment here. And I think between the 2 brothers, the one who needs the win more, in my opinion, is Jimmy Uso. So I'm thinking Jimmy Uso is going to get the win over Jey in this match. Probably some Solo Sikoa interference, but Jimmy will get the win here. And I think one way or another, this feud will continue. Whether it immediately goes into a rematch at the next pay-per-view or if they come back around to it later on, I think this feud will continue in some capacity later on. The Intercontinental Championship will be up for grabs as Gunther defends his championship against Sami Zayn. not the person who I personally would have preferred to see in this position. That would have been Chad Gable, but they made this decision. I mentioned previously that there was rumors that Gunther would be defending his championship against Brock Lesnar on this show. Now, you can never count out Brock Lesnar as a victor in any of his matches, but I feel like Gunther and Brock would have been a monster match, but it would have been a win for Gunther. So, in my mind, there was already a plan in place for Gunther to win at WrestleMania. I don't think that plan has changed. I know the story that they've told with Sami Zayn in recent weeks, but I do not think it will be enough to topple this long reign that Gunther has as the Intercontinental Champion. I believe that reign will continue out of WrestleMania, and he will get the win over Sami Zayn. I would love for them to circle back around to Gunther and Chad Gable. I know the likelihood is very low, but I'm still holding out hope that we get some kind of way to get back around to that one. Rhea Ripley defends the Women's World Championship against Becky Lynch, and both women, love them both, incredibly talented, incredibly charismatic, great characters on TV. This is one of the biggest matches within the women's division that they can put on right now. Only thing bigger than this or could match this is Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, which is a match I believe will be one of the main events at next year's WrestleMania. But before that, we have Rhea and Becky on this show. I can see a scenario where Becky does win, seeing as how Rhea has held on to that championship for a year now. But I don't see that reign coming to an end. So I'm going with Rhea Ripley to retain over Becky in this match. I think they're going to have a great match, but I'm thinking that Rhea is going to be the one to pull out the win. And then, of course, the big main event of WrestleMania Night 1 essentially is the big main event of WrestleMania weekend, even more so than the championship match on Night 2, that being The Rock and Roman Reigns teaming up to take on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Of course, we all know the stipulations. If Cody and Seth win, then the match between Cody and Roman for the Undisputed Championship on Night 2 will be a fair fight one-on-one. However, if Rock and Roman win, then the match on Night 2 will be bloodline rules where anything goes, and it will be an overbooked mess. Well, at this point in time, an overbooked mess is exactly what I want. I expect this match to be an overbooked mess. I expect the last 2 hours of Night 1 to be dedicated solely to The Rock and Roman Reigns' entrances. I think they're each going to have very, very long entrances. I'm almost tempted to clock them and time them and see how long they are. But this is going to be all the bells and whistles. I am looking forward to seeing how The Rock performs in this match. The man has not wrestled a proper match in over a decade. So I'm very curious to see how he's going to work out in this match. But ultimately, I believe the outcome will be Rock and Roman Reigns getting the win and setting up bloodline rules for Sunday night. And I think that happens with The Rock being the one to pin Cody Rhodes in this match. And that will segue directly into Night 2. But before I get into those things, there's some other matches that are happening on Night 2, including a match that just got announced this past week, that being Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits taking on Karrion Kross and AOP, the Final Testament, in a Philadelphia street fight. I think this has potential to be a fun match. I feel like this will probably be the buffer match to go on right before the main event. That's just my opinion on it. And I think they're going to have a damn good match. And I'm sure there's an idea. It would make sense for the Final Testament to win. They're the new heel faction. You want to build them up and hype them up. I personally don't really care about that. In my opinion, there's far more interest in Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. That's just a more interesting act, in my opinion. I'm just glad Lashley actually has a match on the WrestleMania card this year. He was left off last year, so it's good to see him actually at WrestleMania. And I'm thinking that not only is he going to be there, he's going to win. So him and the Prophets I have going over the Final Testament. LA Knight is going to be in his first WrestleMania against AJ Styles. A very basic mid-card feud. They've done the whole thing of AJ running away from LA Knight, flew all the way over to Australia just to cost him the Elimination Chamber, and then has been ducking and dodging him. LA Knight invaded his home and beat him up. He disguised himself on SmackDown previously and beat him up there. So I'm sure that this is yet another feud that could conceivably continue past WrestleMania. And I think whether it does or does not, on this particular night, the outcome will be a victory for LA Knight on his very first WrestleMania. I could see AJ winning, but I'm going with gut instinct here, and I'm going to say that jumping the gun there, LA Knight will get the win over AJ Styles. You know, it's funny, I mentioned Logan Paul. I really do, like, as much as I've minded the LA Knight AJ Styles stuff, I really do wish that the match at WrestleMania could have been LA Knight versus Logan Paul. I think that would have been a huge match. I think that would have been a great spotlight for LA Knight to get a big win and win that U.S. championship from Logan Paul here. But I suspect they probably are not ready to take the title away from Logan Paul. And if that's the case, I would prefer they not have him beat LA Knight. So I get that. And if this can give LA Knight a big win at WrestleMania over AJ Styles, who himself would probably benefit from a big win, but AJ's damn near Teflon. I know he hasn't been really focused on recently, but the dude has a lot more equity in the company than LA Knight does. So I think AJ can still afford to take a loss and still be okay. Whereas LA Knight, who has lost a lot of big matches recently, him losing at WrestleMania would probably hurt him a little bit more than help him. So if this means that LA Knight can get a win at WrestleMania, then cool. But speaking of Logan Paul, you have a triple threat match for the United States Championship with Logan Paul defending the championship against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I believe that this is set up for a Logan Paul victory. Kevin Owens, him winning the championship could be cool, I guess, but he doesn't really need it. Randy Orton damn sure doesn't need it. So I can see the two of them somewhat canceling each other out here, and Logan Paul sneaks in a win. Maybe he gets the brass knucks on one of them and then pins the other somehow, some way. Maybe Randy Orton RKO's Kevin Owens, and then Logan Paul sneaks in with a good shot to the back of the head with the brass knucks and then goes over and pins KO and gets the win. I could see a scenario like that. But predicting a Logan Paul victory. We also have the WWE Women's Championship match. Io Sky defending against Bayley. I'm predicting a bad night for Damage Control. Damage Control has been coming out in recent weeks talking about how they own the place and they're the most dominant force on the SmackDown Women's division. They have thrown their weight around a lot. And I'm thinking this is leading to their comeuppance at WrestleMania. I predicted that the good guys beat Damage Control on night one. Conceivably, it would make sense for Io to represent her group and win on their behalf on night two. But again, I'm thinking that this is not going to be a good weekend for Damage Control. And I'm thinking for as great of a moment as it was for Bayley to actually win the Royal Rumble, I think it'll be an even sweeter moment when she beats Io Sky to win the Women's Championship. So I'm going with Bayley to win the title here in this match. The World Heavyweight Championship will be defended on this show. Seth Rollins defending the championship against Drew McIntyre, and what I'm predicting will be the match opener for the night 2 card. Seth is already going to be losing on night 1. I don't think he'll eat the pin but I do suspect that he and Cody are not going to be winning that match on night one. But Seth is going to have to turn around and focus on Drew McIntyre in a match where CM Punk, the same man who Drew McIntyre has been relentlessly roasting on Twitter over the last couple of months, and even on TV occasionally. And of course, there's no love lost between Seth and Punk, but Punk will be on commentary during this match. I assume that will play a factor in this match in some way. But here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Drew McIntyre, who has been a tremendous character, this heel turn was the best thing that ever happened to Drew. I'm thinking that Drew is going to beat Seth Rollins. Seth has made enemies out of the bloodline by inserting himself into their business. It's not enough for them to beat him and Cody on night one. I also believe they're going to cost him his match on night two. I'm thinking some combination of Jimmy and Solo or some bloodline interference is going to cost Seth Rollins this match, and he will lose his World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre. And McIntyre will get his big moment. A moment that will just be shoved right in the face of CM Punk. Punk returns, first match on TV back in the Rumble, injures himself. He's gone. And they have given the claim for that injury to Drew McIntyre. He has been trolling CM Punk for the longest time. And now at WrestleMania, CM Punk has to sit there at the commentary table and watch Drew McIntyre not only take his WrestleMania spot, but also win the World Heavyweight Championship and finally do it in front of fans like he has been wanting to do. Drew, extra cocky, extra bold, extra arrogant, all in the face of CM Punk. I don't know how much physicality CM Punk can do. He has the arm brace on, so I don't know how much he can really do. But I'm thinking somehow Punk will put Drew in a compromising position where he's a little weak. And in this weakness, he will be laid out and will be primed and ready for a certain senior Money in the Bank to cash in his briefcase. I'm thinking that CM Punk will do some kind of damage to Drew McIntyre, so much so where he is left defenseless for Damian Priest to come out and cash in his Money in the Bank and win the World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's time. Priest has had this title for way too long, and he has made several attempts to cash in and has looked like a fool on every single attempt. Thinking it's time for him to finally cash in and cash in successfully. So I'm going with McIntyre to beat Seth for the championship. But in the process, I'm thinking that Priest will crash the party and he will take that championship from Drew McIntyre thanks to CM Punk. And then finally, the big main event. Roman Reigns defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes in what I am predicting will be bloodline rules stemming from the night one main event. And with that, let the cluster begin. They're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, into this match. You're going to have bloodline interference. You got Jimmy, you got Solo, you got The Rock. Maybe we could see new people debut. Maybe if we get new members of the bloodline revealed on this show, like a Jacob Fatu or a Tama Tonga or anyone else in that Anoa'i family, maybe that leads to a Roman Reigns victory. I don't think so. I'm thinking at WrestleMania on this night, we are going to stick with the current faces who we see in the bloodline. That being Jimmy, Solo, and The Rock. I'm thinking Jimmy and Solo are going to cost Seth the match for his title earlier in the night, so much so that he is incapacitated and he cannot physically assist Cody Rhodes in this match. So Seth will not be seen in the main event. I do think Jay will appear. Maybe they'll try to take him out, but it doesn't work. Jay fights through the pain, and he comes out there trying to help Cody. And he targets Jimmy, who, based on my predictions, will have beaten him on night one. So Jay has his sights set on Jimmy. Solo is still out there. You got to do a tease of that spot from last year, the ending of the main event last year, which sucked. But you did it, so now you can come full circle and try to tease that again this year, have a really cool near fall. But Solo Sikoa is trying to interfere. Who can run out and combat him? How about the man who he put down back in November of last year, that being John Cena? John Cena has directly been teasing a WrestleMania appearance this year in recent interviews, so I could very well see John Cena coming out and fighting off Solo Sikoa, trying to even the odds in favor for Cody Rhodes. But there's still The Rock. The Rock is still there, so we got to take care of him. Me personally, I would love for this to open the door for a Stone Cold Steve Austin appearance. I don't care. The idea of just Roman and Cody straight up one-on-one, no other stuff. At this point, we're this deep into it, I don't want to see that. And if they're going to do bloodline rules, if they're going to have it be all stacked in Roman's favor, and of course they'll bend the rules and Cody will be outnumbered for a good chunk of the match, but you'll get to that point where enough is enough and the babyfaces start to come out there and help Cody. They've had it up to here with the bloodline bullshit. That's why you get Jay. That's why you get John Cena. That's why you get Stone Cold Steve Austin, if for no other reason other than for old time's sake, a face-off between Steve Austin and The Rock, ending with a beautiful Stone Cold Stunner on The Rock. Takes him out. Now another option could be The Undertaker. Undertaker could come out riding on his motorcycle. He could take out The Rock. Also, Triple H. Now, we know Triple H is not medically cleared to do any more in-ring competition, but maybe we can have some kind of face-off. Maybe Cody does something to The Rock. Maybe he gives him a low blow. Maybe he does something like that. And maybe all Triple H can really do is hit The Rock with a sledgehammer. Because we had a little bit of a tease very early on in this whole dynamic of there being some animosity between Triple H and The Rock with the whole power struggle angle, and they've never really come back to it. So maybe they can come back to it here and Triple H can be the one to come out there. But I would prefer, of all the options, I would prefer it be Stone Cold to be the one to combat The Rock. And then that leaves Roman and Cody. Of course, Paul Heyman will still be out there, newly Hall of Fame inductee Paul Heyman, but you got to have Heyman out there for the facials and the visuals of his face when he sees his boy get dropped by the crossroads, however many Cody hits. Ultimately, it'll be one final one, and Cody gets the 1, 2, 3. Because, good Lord, you cannot have Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble back-to-back years, go into the main event of WrestleMania for the second year in a row on night 2 against Roman Reigns for that championship, and he loses again. You cannot do it. Screw Hogan's imaginary record. Hulk Hogan has no record as champion. There's just a certain amount of days that Hulk Hogan held the championship that Roman could conceivably pass if he holds on to that championship till September. All that does is move Roman Reigns from number 4, longest reigning champion, to number 3. He's not getting past Bob Backlund. He's not getting past Bruno. So there's no point in doing it. You got to get those titles off of Roman Reigns. Roman is a great character. He is a strongly booked character. At least he was until he ran into The Rock. But there is so much more to this bloodline storyline. There is so much more to the Roman Reigns character that needs to be fleshed out and developed and brought to light. And it needs to be done without Roman as the champion. The time has come. There is nothing left for this man to do with this title. We need to see a world. We need to see the next step in this story arc of the bloodline of the Roman Reigns character where he is no longer the champion. We should have got it last year. Had we gotten it last year, we wouldn't be in this position this year. But they didn't do that. They wanted to build it and build Cody back up to get the rematch this year. Play up the Rocky story. I get it. Fine, whatever. You gotta take that championship off of Roman. And it's now or never with Cody Rhodes. All this talk of finishing the story, quite frankly, if for no other reason, I'm sick and tired of hearing Cody Rhodes talk about finishing his story. I want him to finish the goddamn story already. So let's get Cody in a position to finally crown him as the new king of the castle. He is clearly the top babyface in this company. They have built Monday Night Raw around this man. They have essentially built the company around this man for the better part of the past year. He has been presented as the world champion without actually being the champion. And I know Roman Reigns is still a big draw. I know he is still a top ratings draw and a big face of the company, but he can still be that. He can still be this big special attraction without the title. There's a whole storyline just eager to be told between him and The Rock and the Bloodline where the championship does not need to be involved. So, Cody Rhodes beats Roman here. No, all those people I mentioned, no John Cena laying out Roman or Steve Austin or whoever laying out Roman and then Cody crawls over and pins them. No, the purpose of all those people, all those run-ins, all that interference is to get rid of all of Roman's help. So Roman's all by himself. He's all alone. He has no one to help him. And at that moment, that is where you see Roman Reigns crumble. And he finally loses the championship, and he loses it to Cody Rhodes. And that's it. That is the WrestleMania 40 card for you. That is night 1 and night 2. And looking at these lineups, I'm thinking night 1 will probably end up being the stronger show of the two. But night 2 has some gems. There's a lot of good matches that could potentially come from that show. And I'm thinking, top to bottom, all in all, WrestleMania 40 might go down as one of the better WrestleManias. I have a lot of high hopes. I'm playing some serious fantasy booker with that night 2 main event, but I don't care. I really don't care. You know, I mean, hey, if they do Bloodline rules and Cody is all by himself and he alone fights off the entire Bloodline, I mean, that's a hell of a way to make him strong. Or if, regardless of that, Roman Reigns wins, it doesn't kill Cody Rhodes, but it does damage him severely to the point of not a lot of people, myself included, being able to take him seriously as the top babyface. So if they want to strip that away from him, then by all means have Roman beat him 2 years in a row. But I don't think that's story-wise, creative-wise, that's not the smart outcome of this match. So hopefully the people in charge, Triple H, all these people are smart enough to know that the right outcome is Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns. So, all in all, I am looking forward to this show. Even though these are my predictions, I am very anxious to see what will actually happen. So, should be a fun night. Should be a fun 2 nights, that is. And I will be back with you guys to cover those 2 nights. I will be back to cover WrestleMania Night 1 and WrestleMania Night 2. And then I will be back even further than that on Monday night to talk about the post-WrestleMania episode of Monday Night Raw. And then got a few days to recover, and I will be back to cover the post-WrestleMania SmackDown edition the following Friday. So, looking forward to that, and thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys stay locked in with me throughout this WrestleMania weekend. Greatly appreciate it. And if you like what you see and you like what you hear, hit that like button, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter /X at DerekJ Speaks. Till later, take care.